Welcome guys to another video and to our YouTube channel. What we've got today for you is a Honda Civic Type R FD2. The FD2 models were only produced for the Japanese market, and whereas over in the UK we were given the FN2, which, to be fair, just like the EP3, didn't quite live up to the expectations of a Type R. I mean, they were very popular, but coming from an EK9, I personally don't think, like many other people, petrol heads, don't actually believe the FN2s and the EP3s lived up to quite that reputation that the EK9 set for them. I mean, the bar was set quite high, so it was very difficult to beat, but they were a lot more refined and stuff. But the Japanese market, they introduced the FD2, which is the four-door saloon. Now, what Honda have turned around and said is this is actually 50%, the chassis on the FD2 is 50% more rigid than the pre-facelift DC5 and 25% more rigid than the facelift DC5. And I must admit, these cars are fantastic. They handle perfect, you know, absolutely fine, absolutely perfect, should I say, not even fine. They're very, very quick. They tested them on some Japanese circuit, and compared to the DC5 facelift, these were a touch over a second quicker every time they tested it. So I mean, they handle extremely well. They've got the VTEC technology, so as you're already aware, with all the Honda VTECs, they rev to silly 1000 RPM, and I mean, this one doesn't back off from that as well. It's, you know, it's 8,500 RPM, and I mean, the FN2s were given, on paper they were showing up as 199 brake horsepower, if I remember correctly. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, so just leave a comment for that, but 199 odd horsepower, whereas the FD2s were given 222 brake horsepower. And I mean, the VTEC engages 5,500 RPM, and it pulls very strong on these. So as you can imagine, they are fantastic. I mean, the best thing about these cars is you don't see too many of them around nowadays, and so they are a bit of a rare sort of car, and a lot of people don't actually know what one is. And I mean, myself personally, I used to own, my first one I ever owned a few years ago. I kept actually getting told your Honda Accord looks quite nice, but it was okay. You just have to educate these people. But yeah, I mean, the FD2, the FN2s for the UK were just a hatchback, three-door hatchback car. So, but whereas the FD2 is a four-door family saloon, and the two rear doors and the rear seats perfectly usable. You know, you could get two over 6 foot people in the back, and it's still quite comfortable. And the boot on them is very spacious. You could get a pushchair in there if you're using it as a family car. And yeah, I mean, they're a very, very large boot, and they could take a lot of your shopping as well. So they're a fantastic car overall. Performance wise, they're great. They handle very well, and they come with a nice little spec from the factory. As you can see, they've got red and black, you know, bucket seats. They've not got Recaro or nothing embossed as the predecessors did. And it's got like a sporty sort of steering wheel, and obviously like your FN2s get in the UK, the rev counter is right in front of you, showing 9,000 RPM, and the red line starts from just before 9,000 RPM. Sorry, just before 8,500 RPM, and the speedometer digitally sits on top of that, as I'll show you in a short while. And obviously all the layout and everything is great. I think these weren't designed for your creature comforts and luxury and stuff, but they still boast, you know, they've got all your electric windows and aircon and climate control and all of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, they're a fantastic car. What we'll do is we'll go for a little drive in it. Right, the suspension on these cars compared to the UK cars is completely different. These are quite firm, and I mean, the actual example I'm driving now is fitted with the K20 shock absorbers. The standard suspension was known to be quite firm for UK roads, and so these are actually a very good balance. They've still got the firmness to them, so the cars still handle very, very well, but they're not as harsh on your back as the OEM suspension that the FD2s had. So they're a very, very, very good piece of kit, you know, the K20 shocks, and it goes to show the handling is still not very compromised, and it's still a great car for the UK roads. like a granddad, and they drive absolutely spot on. They drive perfectly fine. But the moment you open them up, they've got this thing about them like all Honda VTECs did have. But the K20 engine in the FD2 is fantastic. I mean, it's the same as obviously your DC5s and stuff, and they're a big step up from the UK equivalent. I mean, these K20As were, as previously mentioned, they were 222 odd horsepower, so they pull very, very, very well. And 6-speed gearbox is spot on as well. It's a short sort of ratioed gearbox. Absolutely great. As soon as the VTEC kicks in, I mean, you can hear it. You can hear it, you can feel it. They pull quite a bit stronger than pre-VTEC, which is obviously one of the strongest points for these Hondas. And peak power on these cars is top end of the rev range, as with all Honda VTECs. And I think, if I remember correctly, on these it's just a touch over 8,000 RPM. The shift lights are a very good bit of kit to have, and these come with the shift lights out the factory, as did the FN2s. I know previously I've had a couple of other Type Rs and people have had them retrofitted, and yes, they're a very, very good thing. But on these, they're all blended into the dashboard, and they look great. Thank you very much for watching the video, guys. We've got plenty more content to come, and yeah, so basically we're still new at the minute. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, share, subscribe to our channel, help us grow. You'll soon see, we should hopefully be videoing a very special Honda Type R, so you'll see that as well. And yeah, we've got plenty of other cars to show you, and they're all generally your performance stuff. So yeah, basically help us grow, and give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.